Hi guys, it's Penelope in London. I want to explain the node to you, the North Node and the South Node. And in evolutionary astrology, if you want to really understand your path in life, what we would be looking at is following the North Node. The nodes, which are here, the transit node at the moment is in Gemini at, if we look at here, it's 19 degrees, it goes 18, it goes backwards. So although it looks like it goes forward, because if you thought it was a clock sort of face, then you would say that's going forward. But in astrology, the planets actually transit this way round the chart, and the node transits the opposite way. So it goes, in that direction. So currently it's my North Node transit. Because I know my time of birth and date, most of us know our date, but the time a lot of us struggle with, but that can be played with in the sense that by certain questions, if you're stuck on time and you need help with that, then I'm happy to try and assist. We can't, obviously it's not magic. We can't say, yes, you were born at this time unless you absolutely know. So you might need to dig for that if you don't know your birth time. But I'm 27 degrees Scorpio. So that node currently is moving through my 7th house. And it's going to it's aspecting currently my moon. And this means that it's wiping out, like really old stuff. It's sweeping away the emotions for me. It's giving me a fresh start emotionally, which is actually how I've been feeling. I've been wanting that. And the planets, ultimately, as Simon Vorster said to me, he worked on my chart with me for years. And what we really need to understand about astrology is to be really clear that the planets aren't so much doing anything to us. And what Simon Vorster said to me was astrology is just a bunch of symbols and timings and mathematical calculations. And the question is, what are you feeling? So, in brackets hyphenated, what are you feeling in relationship to that? So you look at the chart and you look at what am I feeling? And then when you make sense of that, then you can understand what the astrology is telling you. So it's really important, that knowledge. And then the other thing that we really need to understand as well, that as we evolve through the chart, life is not fixed. We're dealing with other people who've got their own charts, and then we're dealing with the collective unconscious and the collective, like we're going through now, and we're all going to be handling it really differently. But it's worth understanding, as a great astrologer friend also said to me, that when we feel confused or upset or obsessed by whatever or by another, that is our unconscious trying to work toward individuation and consciousness. So each of these, whether it's good, or unpleasant, these things help us to evolve, and we come to new wisdom and understanding, and that can be seen by what we're feeling in the chart. So if you look at my North Node at birth, it's 25 degrees of Taurus. So I'm going to explain to you what that means, different to the transiting node, because the transiting node is 18 years around the chart. So I'm going to expand this for you. So if you go to astro.com and you get your chart, and then you see the North Node here. So if you look, my North Node is opposition to my Neptune. So look here, there's my Neptune. So it's in an opposition to my Neptune. Then my North Node is sextile to my Saturn. So you go North Node, and it's 60 degrees away from my Saturn here, And then we've got North Node, it's conjunct my Mars. So you see my North Node is on my Mars. And then again, North Node is conjunct my Mercury. So there again. And then my North Node is also conjunct my Sun, which is, it's a bit of a handful, all of that. And then we would look at the South Node, but this to do with our gifts and what we're, bringing in, but also what we don't want to sink back into. So the South Node is conjunct my Neptune here. See there? South Node conjunct Neptune on my AC, because it's 25 degrees and my rising is 27. This particular aspect means, particularly to stay away from alcohol, drugs, stuff like that. I had my partying days, but, I basically don't touch alcohol now. I haven't for 8 years. So, the chart sort of fits in where we may struggle initially, and then we begin to figure it out for ourselves. And then you can see that my South Node is trine to my Saturn, trine, which is a nice energy. So my South Node is trine in my Saturn. My South Node is also in opposition to my Mars, and it's biquintal, which is a degree, which is 144 to here to here. You see there? That's 144 degree to my Venus. And then it's opposition to my Mercury, and it's conjunct, hang on a minute, wrong one. Opposition to my Mercury and opposition to my Sun. So then we would look at that. But what we would ultimately do as well, to give you some ideas, and Simon pointed this out to me, Simon Vorster, Raising Vibrations, check out his channel. So he taught me this little sort of, you can call it a game if you like. Let's see here. So if we take my North Node, and let's try and figure out, what is my life path? So that's not the only thing we do in evolutionary astrology, but this is something I want you to maybe think about today if you've got your own chart in front of you, or you want to do this with me. So my North Node is in the 6th house. Yeah, it's in the 6th house. So the 6th house is to do with work. It's to do with routines. It's to do with small pets. It's to do with health and well-being. And the ruler of that 6th house, not my, not the sign of Taurus, but the ruler of the 6th house is Mercury. And also my North Node is in Taurus. So the ruler of Taurus is Venus. So where is Venus in my chart? So if we look, Venus is in the sign of Aries for me, and it's in my 5th house at 18 degrees. So my Venus is doing certain things. I've got a yod, which is related to, called the finger of God. That's quite hard work to figure out what that means. I've looked into that quite deeply, but they get activated at certain points, and it's a theme of life of trying to figure something out unknown because of the way they bounce back and forth. Then, so it's in Aries. So my Venus is in Aries. So what's the ruler of Aries? It's Mars. And then Mars is in Taurus, and the ruler of my Mars is, again, Venus. So I'm here, the sort of 5th house, creativity, sun, the ruler of the 5th house is also the sun. And traditionally, because the 5th house is Leo. So we can begin to sort of get some sort of idea of what I'm supposed to be doing on this earth. And really, these planets for me are tipping into 7. At 25 degrees, 27. So I can almost bring in a bit of that. But let me read to you the meaning of the lunar node, the node in Gemini. We would look at on a transit level. If we're looking at our transit, then we would be looking at that aspect. But with Taurus, basically, I'm building up my own security. I'm building up my own, making myself secure and safe, and building blocks to my future and having a secure life. So that's not to do with so much with relationships. It's to do with inner security, so that I don't really look outside myself for security anymore. So that, it's fascinating that we can be guided by this stuff. So when we're stuck, or if you're stuck and you want help, then just, book a session with me. And I will add that as we look at astrology, it's a form of psychology, that man put ideas, into the data into the planets, and looked at the cycles, and as new planets, as we evolved, and we realized Pluto existed, and we gave that meaning. So it's like we put in the data, and then we draw from it. And as we draw from it, like as I sit and look at my chart and I start looking at the archetypes and the definitions and the houses, I begin to know myself. And as I begin to know myself, I'm speeding up my own consciousness, which means that I can begin to look at my dispositions, well, things that I struggle with, and then my gifts. And so the gifts would be, it's all a gift, but the trines are gifts where we can basically have a lot of ease. And then the squares are where we have tension, but through tension we grow. And then we've got other aspects going on, like the quintiles that you see here. They are to a spiritual aspect. So, you know, we can just keep digging. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and please subscribe if you have not. And Merry Christmas to you. Catch you later.